Hey there, this is Raye, Hollitt, better known as Zap from the American Gladiators. I am with Chris Contra at the RockStop, and we're going to get this interview started now.
All right, welcome into the RockStop. Chris Contra here. My guest today is strong, silent, the Terminator. Well, at least that's how she was introduced in the earliest episodes of the wildly popular show American Gladiators. She's one of the top female bodybuilders of all time, and you've seen her pop up in some cool movies and TV shows along the way. I'd like to welcome to the show, Raye Hollitt, a.k.a. Zap. How's it going, Zap?
Thanks for having me, Chris. This is out of the blue. I'm up in South Lake Tahoe. Chicago's a long way away.
The American Gladiators has a far reach, of course.
It's crazy. It's been 33 decades, 30 years, and
Wow.
a lot of us, especially Nitro on the show, he wrote 3 books.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And now he's a motivational speaker. I can't believe all of us, we're in our late 50s. Anyway, everybody's doing really well. We lost a few gladiators. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah.
That was sad. Four people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think just recently Thunder, right?
Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
Smith. Mm-hmm.
Right. So many people, grew up with you guys, and you guys were like a tight-knit family, right?
So there were about a handful that were tight-knit. The problem people didn't see with the Gladiators is it was a revolving door. If you didn't entertain, if you didn't do your, uphold your end of the being athletic and entertaining, you pretty much got fired and let go. You didn't get re-signed for the next year. But Nitro and I were on 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were the two longest reigning gladiators on that program, and you talk about holding up your end of the entertainment side of things,
Mm-hmm.
that you had to keep that going. Like, what did that entail exactly, aside from the competition end?
Well, that's where, instead of calling him Nitro, his name's Dan Clark.
Yeah.
And Lori Fetrick, who is Ice.
Mm-hmm.
We were the pretty much entertainers. We'd go out, get the crowd going. I'm not going to mention any names, but there were a few that were amazing athletes, but they didn't have any personality when it came to getting a microphone in your face. Dan would take over the microphone. I took over the microphone. We'd be yelling, "Let's get this party started. We will rock you." And everybody started singing. And that just, the energy starts. It's just the adrenaline starts going. But there was some lame ducks sitting in the training room just waiting to come out, do their little job and go back. And for anybody who's an avid watcher, you know who it is. You can tell who stayed. Laser stayed. Tower stayed.
Right.
And there are a few that you wouldn't even recognize their names.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Was there ever any kind of disagreements backstage or anything between you guys?
Always.
Yeah.
Although the audience didn't know, we were not allowed to converse with the contenders. Even at lunch, we were separated because it was a reality show and there was prize money and a lot of it.
Right.
So we couldn't befriend anybody until after it was, the season was finished. And then we actually became friends with some of the contenders. But there's a lot of egos. Okay, like throw steroids into the mix. Then you've got rage. Dan wrote a book on it's American Gladiator, Roids, Rage, and Redemption. I just finished reading it. It's fascinating. I couldn't believe the stuff that he was divulging, personal stuff.
So
yeah.
Stuff that you had seen going on, but you're kind of surprised that he would take it public like that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. And Jim Starr, who played Laser, they were bestest friends. I didn't know they went to college together, and they went to party in Palm Springs, and they were both on roids. There's no, he's not holding anything back.
Right.
They were both on roids, and they got into a serious fist fight in the middle of the street because of roid rage. And that's what he said that would have never have happened if we weren't both shooting up.
Yeah.
And they were both pro football players. But it's a very interesting book. He wrote the book because he had a lot of, he had breast tissue grow. He lost size in his testicles. He didn't have a sex life. It was a mess. He was a mess. And that's why he wrote the book, to put it out there for anybody who's looking to, go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
We just lost another bodybuilder. Every time I get on the social media, it's like the bodybuilders are slipping away.
Yeah.
So,
right. I mean, that just became part of the lifestyle. I mean, it just seemed like it was so prevalent, just using steroids. Being a bodybuilder was all about, or being a professional athlete as well. And, a lot of people didn't realize the dangers, I guess, at the time.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the women, he didn't touch on the women at all. But you can tell if you look like a dude and you're a woman and you're jacked up. Yeah. And that's when some of the, I'd say not fights, but the heatedness with the people who were actually doing drugs. I didn't do drugs. If anything, during bodybuilding days, that was a whole different story. But during Gladiators, I didn't need to. I was already, on my way to being a pro bodybuilder. So I just kept, if you could see in the beginning, the first season, people noticed. That's when I did Skin Deep. I was like 170 pounds. I was off season, if anybody knows what that is, off season, not dieting, trying to put on muscle, and then you take it off. And like year after year during Gladiators, you could see I kept shrinking.
Right. So
atrophying. And then I was so thin the last season. Well, I did Playboy. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
I did Playboy in
bring that up. Yeah, right.
And I wasn't big for that, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's a great photo set there. I have seen it.
See, and I did JAG.
Right, the TV show.
Yeah, I did the pilot, and the director, very famous producer, director, Don Belisario, I go in, and he knew me from Skin Deep, and he's like, I want you to play a lieutenant. And I was like, no problem. Not even thinking about the Playboy shoot. He's like, can you cut your hair, Raye? And I was like, yeah, sure. I thought I had another pilot under my belt. Yeah. I'd do anything. And then the pilot finished, and I'm in the Palisades in California sitting, and I get a call from Jim Henson from Chicago, from Playboy, and said, have approved it. And I'm sitting there with short hair. I really had a problem because the test shots were perfect. They were beautiful because my hair, from the Gladiators, people know me with the blonde hair, and, take it off, and I felt like a dude. I hate saying that, but that's how I felt.
So you cut your hair for the role in JAG, but that was also around the time you were going to do Playboy. Was Playboy kind of on the table at that point? You didn't know for sure you were going to do it?
We did test shots in Mexico.
And you had longer hair at that point?
I was lean, and yeah, it was that 6th year of Gladiators when I was really lean, and I felt sexy, and the shots are beautiful because they're out on the beaches and the rocks and the waves, and then this great opportunity comes along, and I would have shaved my head, and they didn't let me know. It was like, yeah, you got greenlit, and the amount of money that they paid, it was unbelievable because what do you call it? Centerfolds don't get nearly as much as celebrities doing a 6-page pictorial.
Right.
I mean, I got so much money for that. Thank you, Playboy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when you heard that Hef was wanting to go ahead with you in the issue, were you nervous about going back there and letting them see you and stuff?
We went to a wig store.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They had a set designer, and we went through all these wigs, and they just looked fake. And Hef's the one who said, nope, that's Raye. I like it.
Wow.
And what's really cool, Chris, is the perks you get from being in Playboy are out of this world. I mean, I could walk in any club in LA, and be let in. And all the parties were just, and it was, that was back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
What a blast, man.
Definitely. That was a huge time for them, and to be part of that in that way. Now, you've always been, sort of, you work on your body, obviously, very much. And so you had no problem showing it off in something like Playboy. I mean, of course, you had the scene in the movie Skin Deep as well, where you take your clothes off. You got no problem with that, right?
I don't. Yeah. Not at all. No.
That's well,
because I mean, if I actually did doing Skin Deep because I was so big. I couldn't believe, and even the television will throw another 10 pounds on you, because when I saw it, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That is not sexy to me. But Blake didn't want sexy. They wanted that. I didn't know how to act. I was at Gold's Gym in Venice. Guy behind the desk goes, "Hey, Raye, you should go out for this audition." I was like, "I'm not an actress. I'm a paralegal." And he's like, "It doesn't matter. They're looking for a feminine woman who disrobes and looks extremely muscular, more muscular than the man." And I was like, "Who's the man?" "John Ritter." I was like, "Oh, that's easy." And I walked over there. I didn't know what I was doing. They handed me the sides paper with I just read. I didn't know. If you don't know, you don't know. So I just took it and I read it. I've worked 5 years, 52 weeks a year to build this body. And for one night, this night, it's all yours. And I read that. And he goes, "Throw the paper down. Job's yours." He gave it to me on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I missed a point, because after I did read, not knowing what the hell I was doing, and he asked me, I wore a tracksuit. And he's like, "Can I see, what's underneath?" And I had a bathing suit on, and I was big, and he just was like thrilled. And I was like, "But I don't know how to act." And I think they loved the naivete of it.
Yeah.
Because John and I'd go in John Ritter's trailer, and we would run the lines, and you just look at me, and it just came off so natural. I don't know. He made me feel so comfortable. I'm like, sure, I'll get naked. I don't care.
Right on. Here you are, never acted before, and he was able to kind of guide you and show you the ropes, and have such a memorable scene with him that stands the test of time.
He had me. There's a scene that's unforgettable when they are with the light sticks. They're playing with the light sticks in the dark, like they're penises, pitch black, and they have these wands, like laser wands, and John made me sit in the corner and watch, and all that did was just made me at ease, because I was cracking up. Everybody was like, "That, are you kidding me? Who came up with this shit?"
Yeah.
So, what a fun set to be on.
Skin Deep came out in 1989, and it was like more of a risque movie for John Ritter. I mean, watching him on Three's Company all those years, which pushed the envelope a little bit, but this was like a whole nother level of hearing.
He played a great drunk. We'll put it that way.
Right. He did.
Great drunk.
It was some people has compared it to the movie 10. In fact, I heard that Dudley Moore was even kind of the first one in mind of the screenwriter. I'm not sure if you know about that or not, but something I heard was that even before John Ritter had signed on, that people were thinking Dudley Moore.
Isn't Blake's wife Julie Andrews? Back then, I started realizing how Hollywood worked, and everybody knows everybody's connected.
Uh-huh.
And I just stayed connected, and close knit. And it's so funny, because over the 30 years now, all of a sudden there's something in the works brewing with the Gladiators. It's gonna be huge. It's not a live show. It's not a TV show, but it's brewing, and it's bringing us all back together again. We're all over the country. And we get on Zoom calls, and this is Nitro's production, and we'll see what happens. Mark my words, Chris. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Definitely. That sounds very exciting. And I'll leave a link to Raye's website that will have, I'm sure, any updates on this as it goes along, and Instagram and stuff that you'll be, whenever the word comes out, that we can let people know. But that sounds very cool.
Yeah. And it's again, 30 years later, because of social media, I can't believe how much fan mail I get. My husband's like, I had no idea, Raye. It's insane. People are sending me my doll. I've got an action figure. People are sending Playboys. Like, why? And then I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I'm like, oh, because we're all over the internet now. Everybody, you can find anybody.
Do you think that it's gotten bigger as time has gone on, like the popularity? I mean, of course, at the height of it, you were probably recognized everywhere you went, but like, as the years have gone by, like there's a resurgence and a more interest again in the series.
I truly believe it has to do because we were the first initial reality show, athletic reality show,
right?
And people are out there going, I want to be on that. We did a 120 city tour, like rock stars on a tour bus. That was grueling. We went from city to city to city. We ended up selling out Madison Square Gardens. And where am I going with this? Lead me on, Chris. I forgot.
Well, we were talking about the popularity then, and now where it is now, and you guys being the original Gladiators.
Oh, and that's why I think from the inception, I had my daughter the third season. Nobody knew I was pregnant. I was jousting with a baby in my belly.
Wow.
Didn't matter. I was an athlete. Didn't matter to me. But I took her out in the middle of Madison Square Garden. She was like 6 months old, and I held her up. I pressed her above my head with one hand. And it was just, I think, even the kids, for some reason, all of my daughter's friends know the show. How could that be? And then I find out that we're on almost 24 hours a day. The old show.
Yeah.
It's running on either, TNT or Zoo or something?
Pluto. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Right. Mm-hmm. I know.
I'm looking at the bad hair, and the first season we had sunglasses on while we're shooting tennis balls like idiots. What the hell? Then it got picked up.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you about the sunglasses during Assault that you were wearing. Now, I was wondering if that was like for style or like for, genuine purpose, because like maybe the lights were reflecting in a funny way.
We're idiots. It probably had to be Nitro. He probably led the way, and the rest of us followed like retards. And then you had Malibu with the big hair, and then all the girls had that feathered Farrah look. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, and then what else was I gonna say? Our suits. They didn't know what the heck they were getting into. Our suits did not fit the guys in the crotch area. It was just a nightmare for them. And then when we got picked up, we said, we're not doing this unless our uniforms are that we can actually do the sport, the events in them. I used to have to pick the thing out of my rear end, climbing up the wall. It'd go up my butt, and I'd be climbing, pulling out my uniform out of my ass.
So you were able to make some alterations to the outfits and things as time went on.
Oh yeah. I had the one arm. I don't know. I was smart about it. I really, a lot of the girls just didn't market themselves afterwards. I just went full. I'm writing a memoir now.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah. It's a tell-all. That's going to be scary. But at my age, it doesn't matter. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork with their documentaries. Yeah, so it's going to dive into, the background, like an autobiography, actually. But I'm going to tell all, but I'm trying not to throw any celebrities under the bus who are still alive.
Going through that process and reliving those memories, I mean, does it bring up some... I mean, I'm sure it brings up a lot of joyful things, but also some more difficult things to think about again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you have to put pen to paper or your fingers on the keyboard. Man, the stuff that comes out that you regurgitate, that you go, what the hell was I thinking?
Right.
Like when you're in your 20s, or early 30s, you just don't think. And now pushing, 60, there's a lot to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, during the competition, you talk about, maybe not seeing eye to eye with some of the other gladiators, and things. What about the fans in the crowd at the time? Like, I'm sure, everybody's in the heat of the moment of the competition going on there. Do you remember anybody like yelling at you, like, any specific things that are maybe were a little personal or?
They used to boo Nitro, but he didn't care.
Yeah.
They never booed any of the girls. I don't think. Yeah. No. After so many years of doing it over and over and over again, you get good at it. Like, I could climb up that wall backwards. So doing the events, like climbing up the wall, I had to make it fun. I would pull on somebody's sock. I'd pull a shoe off,
right? Or
I'd just hang on her foot and look at the audience and egg them on. And that was with pretty much every event with me. Then we had other gladiators, which didn't make any sense to me, who were afraid of heights. So this is my legal and financial background that nobody realized. If you're on a show, you get a residual. If you're not on a show, you don't get residual. So a couple girls wouldn't climb the wall. They wouldn't do that upside down, which I loved that thing, on the ceiling.
Skytrack.
Oh, I loved that. And there's, like, you'll see me on it all the time.
Yeah.
And the only reason is because the other girls wouldn't do it. And anybody wants, I'll take any of your events. So I was on all the time.
Yeah.
The more I was on, the checks were insane.
Wow.
Coming in. Yeah. I'm very blessed. I came from Pennsylvania and in a pretty shitty town. I got out. I was just in a real bad home situation, and I got on a plane and went to the Mecca of bodybuilding in Venice, California, and that's where it all started. I never looked back.
What attracted you to bodybuilding initially?
This is so funny. I've got a picture. I had to put all these pictures together for this project we're doing. And I'm looking at, I was so skinny. I graduated high school at about 111 pounds. And my first competition was because I was going to, there's a bouncer that I met. He wanted to do the Mr. Universe. And back then they used to have couples competition. And I don't know why they stopped doing that. I think it's beautiful. And he wanted me to, he thought I would be a good contrast because, I'm blonde. He was humongous. And I just kept going to the gym with him, trying to, throwing up, trying to get my legs up. And he got a herniated disc, and I went into the show by myself.
Oh, wow.
And I won.
Awesome.
And after that, the ego goes. And then, the gym, it's adrenaline, and I was an athlete anyway, so that going to the gym, pumping weights, putting a little weight on because people thought I was anorexic, and that was irritating.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on the weight, and I won the Anthracite, I won the Pennsylvania, I won the LA, the Cal, and then, the bodybuilding world, especially being in, the center of bodybuilding where Arnold was, Arnold still trains there. I came up with that era with Ferrigno, who's still there at Gold's in Venice, and getting on magazine covers. I was on 24 magazine covers before Gladiators. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't even really have to audition. The creator, Johnny Ferraro, his father had a poster of, me muscular posing on the garage wall where his weight room was. And so his dad is like, I want her on your show.
Yeah.
And Johnny and Gemini, Mike, they picked me up in a limousine, took me to Universal, and there was nobody there. I didn't have to audition. They had said, Raye, can you just please run this obstacle course? And of course, it was a joke to me.
Right.
It really was. I was like, that's it. And he's like, yeah, you're hired. She wants a job. I'm like, I don't even know what the job is. But you come pick me up in a limo and I get to run an obstacle course. Sure.
Yeah.
We had no idea how raw it was in the beginning. It was weird, but then, man, to do that show and then get to be with your your friends doing this instead of like bodybuilding, getting up on a stage all by yourself. You know, mostly the preparation is by yourself, dieting, blah blah.
Right.
But with Gladiators, man, it was so cool having everybody together. You know, eating lunch together.
Yeah. Definitely one of the most fun things you've done.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had Lori Fetrick on the show, who was Ice, and she told me pretty much all the Gladiators hated Human Cannonball.
Oh, I got a story about that one.
Oh yeah. And
everybody who's listening who knows the show, because I still get emails from the past 30 years. What happened with you and Wendy Brown? How did you take her on? She's twice the size of you. I'm on this pedestal, 15 feet above the ground, 3 feet wide, and they are coming like a bat out of hell on a rope.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Malibu didn't come back, because he got hit hard, and he got a big bash in his face, and he was totally against the show. But I was training a scientist, and older man, he invented the geostationary communication satellite, and he was my mentor. And I was shitting bricks, to tell you the truth, that I had to go up there against this girl. I think she was a basketball player for UCLA or something. Very big. She probably had 40 pounds on me. And he told me, you have to trust me. If you lean in when she's getting right there, it will take the shock away. It won't kick you off, but you have to lean in almost off the podium. And I did. I could not, but that's been the highlight for, 3 decades.
Wow.
That I went against her, because we went at it, man. I don't know why. I don't understand why. We went at it in the Contra ring, and she pulled my top up and my boob exposed. And I didn't care. Hey, it makes for good television, right?
Is that episode somewhere I can find?
But you can find anything on the internet. Come on, Chris. And people will send me clips in slow motion, and she does that, and I got pissed, and I sat back, and she came at me, and I lunged her out of that damn Contra ring. I just lunged her ass. She went flying, and then. After that, then I guess it was on. And I can say this now because it doesn't matter. We triple team, all of us. We had the stronger girls, Jazz, Storm, Ice.
Yeah.
Go at like Powerball?
Right.
We let the other girl go by. We're not supposed to do that, but you know what? We did.
Yeah, right. You're supposed to, maybe, do 2 against 1 and then 1 gladiator against the other. But in that regard, she had, irked you enough to, get all the gladiators against her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. For some reason, she's just as iconic as us.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you, I get so. Who do you think would win an arm wrestling against Jazz and Wendy Brown? Like, who cares?
Right.
We're 50 some odd years old. Hey, you want to arm wrestle? I used to get that all the time.
I saw an episode of the old game show Card Sharks, and you arm wrestled Bob Eubanks.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends in different areas, athletic areas, and I was taught how to arm wrestle. There's a technique to it. It has nothing to do with size. It's timing. It's positioning. And I used to make a lot of money because guys were assholes back then. When I started getting popular and I was still big, I'd get asked, hey, want to arm wrestle? All the time. And it was like annoying. So I kept $100 bill in my pocket. And they'd ask, and I just got cocky and said, put your money where your mouth is. I got $100. Do you? And then the tail would wag, and they'd be like, oh, come on. And I'd be like, it was pretty, but I did actually win a couple $100, probably a couple $1,000.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, why does a guy want to arm wrestle a woman? I couldn't wrap my mind around that, so I thought I'd take their money for it.
And watching the clip of you and Bob Eubanks on the show is quite cool, because his face is turning beet red. And
Producers say don't insult or make the host look bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I didn't.
Very cool. Very cool.
So you tease a little, you play a little, you entertain a little. Mm-hmm. Like the rings was one of my best events.
Yeah.
It's because I practiced, and I used to do twirls and play with the girls again and laugh, and they'd get close-ups where the other gladiators would just kind of go and maybe fall off early. Oh, I could go up and back. I hired a collegiate wrestler from New Jersey to teach me how to wrestle. Like, why not?
Uh-huh.
So I got good at that. The only thing I wasn't good at was that stupid football. I didn't like that game.
The Breakthrough and Conquer?
Oh, I hated that.
I just happened to see one the other day. You really stopped him pretty good. So in spite of you not liking it, you did damn good on that one.
And here's another thing, which fans and our audience needs to know, is that we're taking down, like Powerball, taking down people on concrete that's covered with a carpet. No helmets on. We have no pads on. And you're picking people up and whipping them down.
Yeah.
But that was kind of our job. And there were some girls that would not do that event. And then you wouldn't see them the next season.
Yeah.
So I did my due diligence when I was in my 20s. And then all the injuries that are popping up, I got something going on with my neck, and I went and had it x-rayed, and they're like, how did this happen? I was like, well, I got beaten on my head for 6 years jousting on a television show, and they're like, yep, that'll do it.
It's like I've had a punk rocker on the show, a guy named Raz Razorback, who used to hurl himself into the crowd for years, in his 20s, and just really take a beating out there during his performances. And now he's in his near 60 himself, and he's feeling it. Now he's feeling it. I mean, he's had numerous surgeries, and it will catch up with you. Yeah,
back to Dan Clark. He wrote another book. I told you, he wrote 3 books, and because he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it was the use of the roids and other substances, and he thought he was going to die. He actually died on the table, and he wrote that book called F Dying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's some scary stuff when you have to really face what you put your body through, I guess, over the years, and really look at what could happen.
Yeah, and you don't think about it when you're doing it. You really don't think, and you don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like that. They redid the Gladiators like in 2008. I mean, all kinds of padding everywhere. But this is why, like, those aren't considered gladiators like you guys were considered American Gladiators, because you did a completely different show than they did. They didn't have those same risks that you guys did.
Only a few of us went to that new taping. We didn't understand why they had Hulk Hogan and Layla be the hosts, because it took the originality of the American Gladiators and it made it fantastical, where they had somebody with wings on, and Helga is playing this, and she's a friend of mine. They hated it.
Yeah.
And I went there with Nitro and Ice, and I think one other girl, and they made a farce out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it showed on, because they didn't get picked up.
Right. And it's like the Hulk Hogan, I mean, as a guy as a wrestler, and the thing
exactly.
that was very different about American Gladiators was it was a sport. It was more physical, really, than a lot of sports. So to make almost a mockery of it in these later years was ridiculous. Yeah,
and I know most of the people who actually went thinking that they were going to be, the next run for Gladiators, and they were so disappointed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
like to a point of they really thought they had something and they just didn't.
Right.
And it pisses me off. I don't know if I can curse on this.
Yeah.
You know, hang around a lot of guys, you start cursing a lot. What pisses me off is if they would have had me and Dan Nitro host, we're really good at talking and we're really good at entertaining, and they wanted to go a whole different route and they screwed up in my mind. I talked to Terry about it. I don't know why he took that job. I don't. Terry's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And he was going through that horrible divorce and he was miserable.
Right.
And you just couldn't pick him out of that funk.
Right.
And it showed. You know, and Layla, she's not a host. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah.
So be it.
I gotcha. You mentioned Lou Ferrigno earlier. Are you close with Lou, or?
I don't know what close means. I've known him probably 35 years, and his wife, and yeah, he's in amazing shape still.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's crazy. And you know, he's deaf, and I learned from Shelley Beattie, Siren, rest in peace, Shelley, how to sign. And when you do that, you get a lot of respect. So I'd go up to Lou and sign. He's just like the sweetest big teddy bear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a really cool guy. And you mentioned Siren, you know, with the exciting new things going on with Gladiators, you know, it being kind of rediscovered by old fans and, you know, new fans seeing the old show and stuff. I mean, it's sad that somebody like Siren, who, you know, took her life a little while back, you know, didn't realize how how loved she probably was by the fan base.
Oh, big time. There's a HBO special I was involved with for Marlee Matlin. She's producing, and it has to do with most of it was for me and my friendship with Shelley, and mostly because Shelley was a professional bodybuilder. I mean, she made me look like I didn't even lift weights. She was fantastic, and for her to get on the show and do the Gladiators with not being able to hear like the referee or hear us, you know, conversing back and forth, because you had to be right in front of her so you could read her lips. And that poor girl went, I mean, through hell and back. She really did, if you think about it. You know, as a bodybuilder, how the hell do you stand on stage and do a routine to music that you can't hear? She was really brilliant. I think it's just the drugs got a hold of her. Right. And she couldn't get out. Yeah.
Yeah, as we hear all too often, but she was great on the show, and you mentioned her challenges that were very unique to the situation. A few more things here as you guys are listening to Raye Hollitt, aka Zap from American Gladiators, here on the RockStop. I did have some other questions about Skin Deep, the movie with John Ritter that you did. We were talking about it a little earlier. I was going to ask you about the famous love scene where, you know, he's laying in the bed, you come out, and how many takes did that take?
Blake Edwards was very respectful of the privacy. There's still a dozen people on set. It didn't matter. I was like, and I kind of zoned out and just concentrated on John. I don't think it took a handful.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with the actors. It's always, you know, a lighting, camera issue, something on set. Well, I mean, we had a good time. The thing I don't think people realize, John's eyes, they cross. So looking at him, it's almost funny because he makes a joke about it, like he's looking over no, I'm looking at you, Raye, but his eyes are over there. And so we cracked up a lot. And the nude scene, and when he ad-libbed, and while you're down there, get the sock. And,
that was an ad-lib, huh?
That was an ad. That wasn't in the script. And I don't think I feel like Mrs. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that wasn't in it either.
Oh, wow.
He made that up, yeah. And I walked onto the set of Skin Deep, and which was in L.A. at a set. And I walked in, Blake walked in, John walked into this bedroom and said, nope, get rid of it. This is not Raye. It's nothing like Raye. And they went to my apartment and got my bedroom. All that stuff is from my bedroom.
No.
That's crazy.
That
yeah.
is. So that was John's suggestion? He said that's not...
It's not my personality. Whoever did the set dressing made it look kind of like a old lady antique, and they walked in and he was pissed.
Wow.
He was pissed. They were like, well, what is your style? As a bodybuilder, everybody's got their own personality style. I was like, well, why don't you just go look at my bedroom? And they're like, we'll just go and take your bedroom. And that would crack me up.
Yeah.
And so it was comfortable. It was weird because I was like with John Ritter naked and in my bed.
And Ritter, I mean, even he was known as one of the premier physical comedians. And though he didn't have to be too physical in that scene, it's just the subtle stuff that he would do with you in that scene was just brilliant. I mean, very funny.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant with everybody he works with, because all the women, all the actresses. I mean, you can't get playing off of him. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
not even acting. You just go with it.
That's a good point. I just wanted to ask you then, when you saw the movie for the first time, the premiere or whatever, what'd you think?
I wasn't scared about it. What was the most thrilling thing? Because I wasn't in that much of it, but they put me on the trailer. Now, to go to see a movie and I'm on the big screen on the trailer, that was huge. And I chose wisely who my date was, Lyle Alzado. He was a major NFL player, and he used to go to Gold's, and I was looking for somebody, because of PR, they're taking photos, and Lyle was larger than life back then and very popular, and he was in a few movies. So I was in the gym, and I was like, all I have to do this premiere. Can you please be my escort? And it was fabulous. It was perfect. And then he died. Again, roids and substances.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so you just, and then what did you think of the movie when you watched it? I mean, were you happy with how your scenes came out?
I wasn't happy with how fat I looked.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like that too much. That's the only thing. I wish I was a little smaller, but if I was, I wouldn't have got the role. I have to keep reminding myself that if you looked like you were competing, they wouldn't have accepted me. Yeah. I think Rachel went out for that. Corey went out for that. Corey Everson and Rachel and every bodybuilder on the planet who was in Venice at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, just kind of looking at some of the reviews of the movie, a lot of people, when they look back on it, they say some of the more memorable scenes of that movie was the glowing condom scene and then you as the female bodybuilder. Those are like two scenes that really stand out to people.
I did not know that. That is flattering.
Well, there you have it. Well, all right. I definitely appreciate you coming on the show, Raye, and this was great talking with you. And when you got the announcement to be made, you're definitely welcome back.
I will keep your number handy, but thanks, Chris, for having me. I mean, it was very thorough.
Thank you.
I mean, you should write my book because you know more about me than I do. Bye, Chicago. Bye, everybody. And signing off.
Signing off. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.